What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three, Not Two. Just kidding. It's one brother and a shot of milk. It's basically the Rich and Jack show, and we kind of like it best that way anyway. So we'll see how
A
long
little
this
bit.
rocks out.
Yeah.
What
Chris
you
is
gonna do?
Chris is at the zoo, right?
I think Chris is at the zoo, and
Yeah.
Lawrence is a wild animal.
Yeah. He's just out there in the wild, just doing what he does.
Yeah,
But
they're both doing what they do. So we're doing what we do, and thank you for joining us. Let's start right into it. How has your week been, man? What have you been up to?
my week was all right. Just work. Um, I was watching something. I started watching Brooklyn Nine again. Hilarious stuff. Captain Holt, fantastic. Shogun. I started
Oh,
watching Shogun. I haven't been paying attention to it, so I need to go back to episode one. I was kind of like in and out. I was doing other things while I was watching it, but you kind of have to pay attention to it because they got the subtitles and everything. But so far, the what I paid attention to was pretty dope. It's one scene where he took off one of the Japanese Catholics' head was pretty wild. Um,
is Shogun dropping weekly or they dropped everything?
I believe it's weekly. I think there was only 2 episodes when I saw it. I could be
Yeah.
wrong though, but yeah. So that Ninja
All right.
Kamiya.
All right. Now I started that one too this week.
Yeah. I haven't seen this episode yet. I haven't seen Saturday's episode yet, but it's still pretty dope. No one, the ones who live is The Walking Dead.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
As soon as we get off of this, I'm gonna go and watch that. Depending on what time we get off. But yeah, it's pretty dope. This first episode is pretty much you're following Rick and what's been happening to him. You kind of get as things are going on, you get a little monologue of what's he doing, a few action shots, and then him and Michonne they kind of meet up again at the end of the episode. A little bit of spoiler, sorry, but there's a lot of stuff in between that to watch. But yeah, that like I said, as soon as we get over here, I'm gonna watch that. Aquaman 2
You
because
saw Aquaman
yeah, it's on Cinemax. So I mean not Cinemax, it's on HBO Max. So
streaming free,
it's streaming free. I wasn't going to pay for that.
and how did you enjoy it?
Eh,
Is it as bad as everyone says it was?
it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good, but it's entertaining at times. At times, it's a Jason Momoa show. Like for me, like you pretty much get Jason Momoa because Jason Momoa pretty much like made Aquaman his personality
Yeah.
or whatever. So
Yeah.
you're basically just getting like all Jason Momoa and then everyone else. It's there. I can see if you don't know anything about Aquaman or whatever, and you love Jason Momoa, you're gonna love this. Um, and then I've been uh, working on my plantation. I'm sorry, not plantation. Excuse me.
Like what?
Working on my happy fun time land in Pal World. Liberating all of those starving pals from the wilderness and having them work in my factories.
For those of you who don't know, he's talking about Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah, Pokemon with guns. That's right, Pal World. But that's pretty much been my week. How about you, Jack? What's going on with you?
That's not bad. That's a good week. Man, I've been working a lot too this week. What I've done other than work though is I watched the rest of True Detective season 4.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, man, I think I like it better than season 1 even. Like
Yeah.
it was a good watch for me. I jumped into the ninja show you were talking about, the one on HBO.
Mhm.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Just brutal, but the fight sequences are pretty sick in it. So I'm enjoying
Yeah.
that.
I think it's a nice balance. You get a little bit of talking, find out what's going on in the story, and then you get like a dope fight scene.
And a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it sets you up where I mean the opening scene is a guy, spoiler a little bit, but it's the first scene you see is a guy who's pretty unassuming, gets cornered in an alley by all these assassins, and you're thinking, well, this guy's dead pretty quick,
Yeah.
but he's sick, and
Yeah.
then he's dead, and you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, this guy was a nobody guy, and he's fighting like Black Widow type fighting style and skills, just killing everybody, holding his own, but he's just fodder. He's just opening sequence guy, and you're like,
Yeah.
who on earth is the main guy we're going to be or girl we're going to be following? And, then we find out right afterwards. So it sets itself up pretty good for being a good action sequence. What else did I watch? And that's kind of it. The other thing, I'll jump into this a little bit more when we get to show and tell. But the other thing I have been softly doing is I got my Final Fantasy VII
All right.
Rebirth Deluxe Edition. So I jumped into that this week a little bit. It's been hard with all the work. But man, what a nostalgic callback. Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Classic. So that's basically been my week, but I got a question for you, Rich.
What's that, Jack?
You'll like this one. It's video game related.
All right. We'll see.
How do zombies migrate west?
How do zombies migrate west?
They follow the Oregon Trail.
I get it. All right.
Hey, we'll take it. We're
All
moving
right.
on. Let's get out of here as quickly as possible. That's maybe the best reaction anyone's ever gotten from Rich, and I'll take it. So we're running down the street, crossing the corners, blowing through all traffic lights because we're in California, where I'm at, anyways. And nobody. I was literally on the road the other day, and someone was parked next to me, and the light was red, and they just got tired of waiting, and they went. So we're running through the traffic signals, and we're gonna find ourselves at the Collector's Corner. That's right,
It's
ladies and
show
gentlemen.
and tell time. I thought I tried. Yeah.
Right. That's right. It is show and tell time. So for show and tell, Collector's Corner, we're taking collectibles off our shelves, video games from our vaults, comic books out of the cases, and we're showing them to the world. They can be worth millions of dollars, or in Chris's case, since he's not here to defend himself, they can be just sentimental. Rich, what are you
What
showing,
do I
man?
have?
What do you got today?
This comes with a little bit of a story. I know I said I was not going to buy anything for the foreseeable future, but when I went out to go watch Dune, it was in the local, well, not the local mall, it was in Palisades Mall, and I went by my usual spots to kind of look for things, even though I was just browsing. But I saw one thing that I wanted and I bought it. Okay. But my punishment for not sticking to my guns is a flat tire, which now is going to cost me like $400. All right. But anyway, let me go grab it.
And he's going to go find a show and tell item. Are we live? Is anyone watching this? Oh, we got some people in the chat by now.
Yeah, we got like 5 people in there. Oh, wait, hold on. We got to chat up in here. There we go. Connie, Alaska, welcome.
Hey! Connie, Alaska, she loves the jokes today. She's going to use that one. Connie, thanks for joining us. I know Connie is watching with friends.
All
It's
right.
always great.
Nice. Went to my local spot. Well, not my local spot. My usual spot in Palisades, Newburgh Comics.
Yeah.
Got a lot of good stuff in there on the 3rd floor. And I saw this bad boy, and I was like, yeah, I did tell myself I was going to start a Wolverine collection. And here we go. I got one fresh, brand new in a package right here.
Wait.
The Uncanny X-Men.
Is that new or that's retro?
Oh, it's retro. It's retro. So, yeah. So we got I'm determining whether I'm going to take him out, though, since it is kind of retro.
I think I could send you like 3 more of that guy.
Oh, okay.
Sis, if you're watching this, do we have any of those?
Uncanny X-Men. So you got 2 head scopes, got 2 hands, and my man is looking dope. I saw him. I'm like, yeah, he'll look good on the shelf. Still in the box, but he'll still look good, you know?
That's what year is that from, though? That's from the early, the like 2020s?
See, well, no, it said 2022 trademark.
Okay, yeah, 2022. So what they did with that line is they started kind of re-releasing figures that have that 90s look, but they have way more articulation in the building.
Yeah. You can see it in like the shoulders.
Yeah.
So you can move things around. Yeah. So all right. So maybe I'll pop them out the box then.
That's sick. So are you committed to a Wolverine collection?
Yeah, I'm a trickle it in. I like I said, I'm still kind of staying away from buying things for now until other things in my life sorted out. And now I got to spend money on tires. Thank you, Route 303. You're the best.
How many
Um,
tires? One tires?
Well, I mean, it's all-wheel drive car, so it's always best to do this both sides. So 2 tires. Um, but yeah, that's it. That's what I got. What do you got, Jack? What's going
All
on?
right, so cheap.
Because
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
dig in them chest over there. Stick in your box. What you got in your
Yeah.
box?
All right. All right. So let's show the box. So this is. So I do have an unboxing that I do need to post of this. It's not an elaborate unboxing. There's not too much in the box, but there are a few things. Come with a cool soundtrack, a dope, solid carrying case,
Nice.
and then obviously it's got this book of art and characters.
Yeah.
So let's just give you some of the highlights here. So obviously, one of my favorites, cats. So it's got all this cool artwork in it. It's got all the weapons, some of the summon calls. So cool! It is so cool. It is so cool. So I'm really excited to have this, and I'm excited to finally have the version of the game that I've been wanting to play. And Final Fantasy Remake was great to see the characters come to life and so
Hmm.
fleshed out.
Yeah, yeah.
But to not have the open world, Final Fantasy VII, the thing that made it so special was the open world for me,
Mm.
and it was really one of the first kind of choose your own adventure open world settings that I really kind of got into on that level. And the whole family did, playing that game. So super excited to finally jump into that. But my real show and tell item today is this guy. This is my. Are you familiar with this guy? Big Guy and Rusty.
No.
I think
Huh.
you would. I think you'd like this comic a lot, and I'm pretty sure you can get it online. Let me take him out of the little case. It's a funny comic. It's an oversized. It's really kind of an oversized thing, but the artwork is fun, and the person who drew it, in every panel, there's just so much incredible detail.
Oh, you know what? My bad. My bad.
Oh, cool.
There you
It's
go.
almost like, so what I was saying is, in like every panel, it's almost like a Where's Waldo thing where there's just so much going
Yeah.
on, and the more you look at it, the more the more there is to look at, and it's just every panel is really really detailed.
So
But
now
what's
what?
cool about it,
Uh,
and what I think you like about it, is obviously it's kind of got this anime big robot Astro Boy type vibe to it, right?
yeah, yeah.
But the content is Frank Miller.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very kind of, it's not exactly what you would expect the content to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's so cool. So that's my Big Guy and Rusty comic book, and I
Big
kind of
guy
never
and
take this thing
rusty.
out because it's, like I said, it's just ridiculously big
It is. Yeah, yeah.
for a comic book. So I kind of keep him buried away, and that is my show and tell.
Yeah, good pickup. Good pickups. All right.
Well, on that note, Rich, I think it's time for some news.
Job breaking news.
Time for the news. All right, our first bit of news is revolving Dune 2, which will also be our main event later, but here's a little bit of the highlights. Dune 2, Part 2, I should say, Dune Part 2, opened with a box office opening of $81.5 million domestically,
Okay.
which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And internationally, it had an opening of $178.5 million internationally. It's getting a critics review on Rotten Tomatoes of 94 and an audience score of 95. So people seem to be liking the movie, and it's doing pretty well after its opening. To put that in perspective, Dune had a operating budget of approximately 200 million,
Right. Yeah.
So they pretty much made their money back after the first week, and everything beyond that's pretty much going to be gravy.
I mean, yeah, it's looking good. I mean, good for them. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's been a while since I was. I'm not gonna say I was excited to jump into movies to watch this, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'll just leave it like that. I was pleasantly surprised with this, and it was a pretty good turnout. Because usually when I go into some of these movies as of lately, the theater doesn't really pack out like that. But this one, the theater was kind of packed.
I saw it on Thursday, and it was not packed where I was at.
Oh, okay.
Pretty scarce on a Thursday, but I assume the weekend was much better. They don't
Yeah,
officially open until Fridays, anyways.
yeah, and on top of that, it was raining on Saturday, so that also probably contributed to why a lot of people were in there.
It's raining all over the world lately.
Yeah,
It seems. Our second bit of news revolves around Final Fantasy VII, which has exceeded more than 7 million shipments and digital sales since its release date, making it the highest selling release date on the Sony Station platform in Square Enix history.
nice, very nice. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would have picked up that collector's edition too, because you don't get a lot of like video game collector's editions like that where it's packed with things that you'll actually want. You kind of get like it's a lot of digital stuff, like you get skins and weapons and this, that, and the third, which you lose after the weapons become useless after like 5 levels, and then yeah. But I like physical things. You like a statue or like books and like expand on the lore and everything like that, the artwork and everything. That was a good pickup.
Well, the deluxe edition, which I did not get,
Oh,
did come with. I just got the deluxe edition, but I got the middle edition. There's
okay.
just the video game edition. There's the edition I got, and then there's one above it. The one above it does come with, I think it's like a 2-foot Sethros statue,
Wow. Okay.
but it's also like $400,
Yeah.
and I wasn't committed to dropping $400 for the game, and I don't know where I would put a 2-foot Sethros statue if I had it.
For
So
real.
having the book, and it came with the music soundtrack, and for me, the Final Fantasy VII music is where it's at. So this
Yeah.
was exactly what I wanted.
All right.
Yeah, so I am part of the 7 million that has contributed to them blowing their box off, blowing their own sell records for a opening release date video game out of the water.
Nice.
In other news and some toy news, Lego and Star Wars are celebrating their 25th anniversary as partners, and they're celebrating by releasing a whole new set of Lego Star Wars builds.
Xbox is
Xbox
good.
is better
I
than.
mean,
All right,
let's,
whatever.
let's say it a little bit louder for them. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, Corey Pearson, thanks for joining the chat. We need a system games come
I get.
interchangeable. Well, some of them are. There's a lot
Yeah.
more cross-platform
Yeah.
pollination going on these days.
What else we got?
I think I have a place for the statue. Thanks, Corey.
Yeah. Should have got it from him. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be sending that over, I'm sure. So back to Lego news. Just to name a couple of the things they're dropping, there's a Millennium Falcon, and it looks pretty fun to put together. There's a R2D2, and then they have a bunch of like the hallway setups inside some of the ships that come with Darth Vader and some of the other characters. So
Okay.
it looks like if you're a Star Wars head, if you're a Lego fan, this is definitely for you. This week in comics, Peter Parker and Miles Morales are teaming up together as the Spectacular Spider-Men.
Wait, say that again?
This week in the comics, Marvel is dropping a new comic line where Peter Parker and Miles Morales are teaming up together, and the comic is called The Spectacular Spider-Men.
Okay.
Okay, that's it. That's the news.
I don't know how to feel about that, but
Spider-Men.
all right. Well, okay, sure.
Hey, man, you sell that title. They sell the title. Joker 2, FYI.
I appreciate that, Connie. Thank you.
I'll remind her later.
And Hana, we got one more. Xbox Play Anywhere is the go. That's right. That's right. Sharing is
Oh yeah.
caring. All right. Play with everybody.
Joker 2 has tripled its operating budget, boasting its new budget boasters $200 million price tag,
Hmm.
which actually may be its own undoing. Because Joker, a $200 million price tag is a hard ticket price to sell for most movies these days, especially
Mm.
with the market of the superhero kind of fatigue that's been going on. Although I will say, Chris Evans went on record to say that, in all fairness, making these movies aren't easy, and if it was easy, we'd have a whole lot more good ones. So
Mm.
whatever that, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that was the gist of what he was getting at. Um, so I don't know exactly what I think that means for the movie, or if it was gonna move past the part two. It's hard when you got a budget that big because you kind of gotta
You got to
make it back.
deliver. Yeah, you got to. And this Joker 2, the musical, right? That's what we're talking
Mhm.
about.
Yeah, yeah, the musical.
What was the last musical that was out that some say was the cause of the pandemic? Cats.
Oh boy, yeah. But
Yeah.
what's the last superhero musical that's been? I mean, I can't think of any movie versions. Spider Man did have a musical version on Broadway, which
Right. I don't.
I believe was underwhelming.
I couldn't tell you musicals, but that's a bold move. Why would they? It's a bold move. Hopefully, it plays out, Cotton. Um, I got a little bit of news.
All
Um,
right.
Tim Blake Nelson has an update for the return of Samuel Stearns, the leader. Pretty much, he's saying that he can't wait. He's pretty excited at how the character looks, and he can't wait for the fans to see him. So, hopefully, they don't mess up on the leader. I had to look up what the leader looked like. I'm just like, okay, you got a green guy with a big head. And the
Big
last
Bren,
time, yeah, last time we saw him, his head was pretty deformed, or it was
right.
deforming. So we'll see how they pull him off.
You know,
And
I've been to Tim Blake Nelson's house.
oh, really,
He lives, well, at least one of his houses. I'm not sure if he has multiple ones, but he has a house on the west side, Manhattan, and it has a tremendous view overlooking the Hudson.
okay,
His elevator opens into the floor or half of the building.
all right,
This is a pretty nice place. His wife was teaching at my school for a little while, so they had like a party at his place that we're all invited to, which was pretty
oh,
fun.
nice, nice. All right. Well, apparently the leader's gonna be dope. Well, hopefully the fans will love him. And
So is
how's that?
is saying it's a standalone, or is coming back in a
No,
Hulk?
no, it's coming. He's coming in Captain America: Brave New World. So Captain America 4.
Oh, I
So I
see.
guess I guess he's going to be the main. We'll see. Could be the big bad, or maybe it'll just be just another villain there.
So that also means, well, I guess the Norton Hulk was already tied into it vicariously, though, right? Like they
Yeah,
just backed off that
it seems like yeah.
backstory.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the last time we saw that. That's the last time we saw the leader, or at least the making of the leader.
right. You got
Well,
more news?
we got that. That's it. That's the only one I saw. To be honest with you.
Spider Man. Well, speaking of Spider Man, it looks like we're going to be getting a Spider Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi, or at least that's what Thomas Hayden Church says. So
Okay.
Thomas Hayden Church played Sandman in the films, and he is saying that Spider-Man 4 is very much in the works for
All
Tobey
right.
Maguire. So
Okay.
we'll see if that holds true moving forward, but that's the down low on that one in the streets.
Now, how would they play that one? Would it be like an older Spider-Man, like a more veteran, more
Yeah,
seasoned Spider-Man?
I would hope so, and I think honestly, it would be an opportunity to get a Miles Morales kind of story popping,
Mm,
because the Tobey Maguire Spider Man is Sony,
okay.
right? So we'd be going back to Sony property, and
So
The only reason we had Spider-Man in the Avengers line is because Sony was leasing him to Marvel.
so with this revival of Spider-Man and Sony, we can possibly get a live action Miles Morales. All right, all right. The future looks all right there.
Yeah, because they still own all the stuff. So Lego D&D, come on, you
Yeah,
got to know that Lego D&D,
Buffy. I don't know. This might have been.
Buffy.
Uh, these are
Clarify, Connie, Alaska.
yeah. Clarify on that one. Superhero. Yeah, it's
Oh,
episodes.
okay. They won't. They got this. Bet you a buck. All right, we're just going through all
We're
the.
just gonna go through a couple of them real
Just
quick.
going through them. Love
We
the
got
Spider-Man.
exciting news. Yes.
Well, here's some more exciting news for you toy lovers out there, you toy connoisseurs out there.
That's
Dude, Buffy the
clarification.
Vampire Slayer. I know who Buffy is, Connie, Alaska. Just the context that Buffy was a musical in some episodes was lost in the first one. But thank you for the comment. So McFarlane is dropping a 7-inch page puncher of Val Zod as an action figure, and the
No.
pre-orders for it dropped this March. So if you're like Chris and looking to expand your affirmative affirmation line, this guy is a must. Although I will say I'm a little confused by the sculpt of his suit. It's got a tremendous amount of odd texture on it, if you ask me.
Huh. All right.
All right, last bit of news. Here's another a toy one. This is kind of a fun one. There is a Stanley Kubrick rubber ducky toy line that's dropping. And the rubber duckies, anyone watching this, just close us off and go look at these figures. They're pretty hysterical.
No. Just open up a whole nother tab and
Okay,
then
you can do that too. You can listen to our voices while you're looking at the toys, these rubber duckies. But they're dropping characters from 2001: Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, The Shining, and Full Metal Jacket, and they are quacktastic.
all right. Rubber duckies.
Are you looking at these things?
Hold on.
I mean, they're pretty good. And the Clockwork Orange one, the guy's drinking milk, and the Shining
Oh
one,
yeah.
Jack Nicholson, and he is, he's rocking the axe. So these rubber ducky figures are pretty hysterical.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, look at the Jack Nicholson one. And wait, click on the 4 below everything.
That's right.
Yeah, so you kind of see. So that's the Stanley Kubrick rubber ducky line, and honestly, I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about them because they're too fun.
There's a friend of mine who had a coworker that used to collect rubber duckies, and she would have them all over the office. Just her desk full of rubber ducks of different variations. I'm gonna send this to her to poke fun at her. I'm like, yeah, go get your friend some of these. Go get your coworker some of these right here.
You wouldn't be poking fun. You'd just be supporting the.
Oh no, my friend didn't like it. It drove her crazy. This was her coworker that collected the rubber duckies, and they were all over the place, and it drove my friend crazy. So I poke fun at my friend every so often when I see rubber ducky related stuff. I'm just like, hey, check this out. You should get it for your
PTSD.
coworker. Yeah.
Well, Rich, it's been a real nice conversation up to this point, but I think it's time for debate.
It's time for a debate.
Let's get ready to rumble!
All right. So here's what we're doing for the debate today. Today, our debate question is, I want to know who you think the top 5 all-time best supporting video game characters are. That's what I want to know. I want to know
All-time
who
best.
you think. I want to know which supporting video game characters you think are the top 5 best that have ever existed. That's a tough question.
There's a lot, and
There's a lot,
I haven't
and
played every game, so you know.
I know. Well, that's why it's going to be, and there's only the two of us today, so it's going to be limited options based off of our experiences and
Yeah.
exposure. But we'll take it for what it's worth.
Okay.
The characters could be playable characters, or they could just be characters that support the storyline. All right.
All right. All right.
Um, I think it'll be appropriate. We probably are going to want to have some honorable mentions because how do you fit just five? But we'll do the best we can. Do you want to go in rounds?
We can go in rounds. I got just five. I'm gonna be honest. I just picked five off of my most recent play of games, and actually, I think I might have one honorable mention. Yeah, but you go first. We go rounds. We'll go rounds.
All right. All right. I'll go first. Um, well, jumping back into Final Fantasy VII, and I would say Vincent is one of the best supporting characters in a video game, especially when that game dropped for the first time in the 90s. It was a character who, when you were playing it, you could not even get him into your team, right? If you
Okay.
went through
Yeah.
the wrong sequence of events, he wouldn't even join the party. And then when he joined the party, boy, he added this really cool, mysterious level to everything. So I would say Final Fantasy VII, Vincent, definitely one of my all-time favorite supporting characters of any video game.
Okay. All right. That's your honorable mention. That's one of your characters.
That's one of my characters.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go since we got Borderlands coming out. I got two Borderlands characters, so
Oh,
I'm gonna pick one. My first one is Tiny Tina. Tiny Tina is absolutely hilarious and also deadly with the explosives, and deadly in a very charming, charismatic way too. She's crazy. Let's just put it out there. She's certifiably crazy. But growing up in the wastelands of Pandora will do that to you at a very young age, with your parents being dead. But yeah, you can't play her, but she has just whenever you're around her, her storyline is not storyline. Her her voice chat and her lines, they're hilarious. Like you're going to be cracking up all the time if you just sit there and just listen to her talk. Because what I love about some of these games, you sit there with the characters and they'll go about their own little script and just go ramble off lines, and they're just hilarious. And then she has a few DLCs, and she narrates one. Her DLCs are like Dungeons and Dragons type things. Like it's something like a fantasy land with dragons and mystical beasts and whatever. And she's like narrating the whole story while you're playing through it, and it's hilarious. But so Tiny
who's
Tina.
who's who's playing her in the live action version? You know,
Oh, what's her name? She was I forgot her name. But she has big shoes to fill because yeah, she is a whole character, bro.
who's the second character for you in that game series?
Oh well, we're gonna it's gonna be my second, but I
Okay,
picked two. Just letting you know, I picked two.
I got you. I got you.
Ariana Greenblatt.
Okay, okay. Big shoes to fill. All right. So my second character is Miles. It's Tails from Sonic 2. And what
Yeah.
was so fun about Tails was when you were playing as Sonic, if you had a second controller plugged in, whoever was with you sitting on the couch with you playing could actually operate Tails, which is a really wild feature for the game. So I would say Tails from Sonic 2 was just such a great supporting character when he got introduced.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. And even when they get into certain points of the map, you can use him as like a little lift or something.
Helicopter guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. Corey got his list right here already. And
Thanks, Corey.
wow, the last.
Yoshi, Toad, Bowser, Tails, Dr. Light, question mark, Mega Man? Great. That's great. Some of those guys are on my list.
Yeah. And this one, yes, Tiny Tina Wonderland is fun. Yes. My second one, I'm gonna swap him around real quick. Nick Valentine from Fallout 4. If there
Oh
was
yeah,
ever a character to have on your back, to watch your back in the wastelands, is Nick Valentine. Nick Valentine was a cyborg. Um, and yeah, he was a cyborg with with a detective agency, and you get him throughout your adventures, and he can become one of your playable, or not playable characters. He could become one of your companions as you go through the wastelands. And yeah, he was dope. My man was always shoot first, ask questions later. I loved him.
Fallout has such a wonderful cast of characters.
Yeah.
Um, like even just the robot boy thing, the voice prompt guy was
Oh
a
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So my next one is actually Corey's on your list. Yoshi from Super Mario World.
Okay.
Hysterical, fun, great little cameo supporting character.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, he was definitely good, dope. I wish I played that more. I didn't have Super Nintendo, unfortunately.
You missed the Super Nintendo, Rich.
Look, I wasn't working. I got the systems as they were gifted to me. You know what I mean? So I got Nintendo. Well, I played Atari at my cousin's house. We got Nintendo. We just ran through Nintendo, right? And then I would play like Genesis and Super Nintendo at friend's house. Like guy next door, he had those, and then we got a PlayStation. My dad gifted us a PlayStation. We ran through the PlayStation. Then we got the Dreamcast, N64. And then once I got a job, I was Xbox. Became an Xbox guy. Microsoft to the day I die.
Genesis was such a great time for video games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember, yeah, playing all of my friends' games. Like, hey, what are we doing? Let's go play some. Let's play
Remember
some
when
Sega.
you didn't need internet to play a video game?
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic. Like, what are we playing? Yeah, let's go play that. Like, hey, the internet's out, the cable's out. Okay, cool. We can, as long as we have power, we're still good. What are we talking about? It was a great time. Now you can't play anything. Even single player games, they're connected to the internet. You need some type of connection. It's crazy. But anyway, yes, he was a ghoul, but he was my ghoul. Okay, he was my ghoul that had my back. All right, he was like Slimer. Slimer's a ghoul. You just have, well, no, maybe that wasn't a good example. Anyway, so my third choice, we on three, right? We on three?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm picking Joker. Hear me out.
From
Joker from Batman Arkham City. I honestly believe he's like one of the best Jokers. One of. Uh, yeah, he's one of. I love that Joker. He's just fun.
I can't shake a stick at that one because he really makes some of those sequences. And
Yeah,
it's voice. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was voiced by Mark Hamill too.
I believe so. Yeah, which
Yeah,
made it great.
made it great. Made it easy.
Hold on. We need to show this real quick. Yeah, because sometimes these guys don't appreciate me. Sometimes.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
But I appreciate you. Okay, I appreciate you.
Okay. 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 Um. Okay. Next one on the list is this is a tough one, but I'm gonna say Rush from Mega Man. Rush was the
The
dog.
dog. Okay.
Yeah. And when you finally got Rush introduced, what you could do with the dog being added to your party as a supporting character was just game changer in the game.
Yeah.
Changer.
Oh yeah, cause you definitely need him. Oh no. Yeah, Rush. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You definitely need a Rush to get to certain levels and whatnot. And then that boy was dope. I think my brother had a toy for that.
Did it transform?
I think so.
Yeah.
It was yeah. Okay. I'll give you Rush. I'll give you Rush. You say crypto?
Crypto.
All the puppers should be on the list. I mean, yeah.
But video game, was crypto ever in a video game?
I don't think so. Nah, I've never seen them.
I've played a lot of Superman video games.
Yeah.
I might have missed. I even played this Justice League video game that dropped at the end of last year, beginning of this year, or
Mm,
something. Definitely, this game was made for like 6-year-olds,
mm,
and I still played it for a little bit. So, and there was no crypto.
nah. I mean, Mega Man technically was a piece of equipment, but yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Corey, I'm loving you today. Okay. We're on what, four? Four. Oh, I definitely pushed him down. Anyway, so my fourth now is now going to be Mr. Torg from Borderlands 2.
Oh,
Not a playable character. You'll get some quests from him. I think there might have been a DLC with him involved, but he's like a Macho Man Randy Savage, just like a very explosive personality. And one of the favorite things that he says is explosions. And he'll say it in various ways. And he'll even do it as a question. It's just like, explosions? But when I tell you, I literally die laughing when I hear him talking. And when I first heard, I was like, yo, this guy is hilarious. And he literally looks like how he sounds, just like a dude, kind of like mullet, long hair, jacked up, with a mustache handlebar combination thing going on, and he looks exactly how he sounds. Hold on, can I get a picture of him real quick? Let me show you real quick. This dude is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, come on,
oh, yeah.
come on,
He's totally Macho Man.
yeah. It's like explosions, like every time gets me every time.
Is he beating people with that thing, or is he playing it?
Uh, Most of the time he's just talk. He's like not a narrator, an announcer. He's on the radio at times, and yeah, he'll give you quests and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's beating people with that.
It's a guitar. It's a metal guitar with spikes.
Yeah.
Um, nice. All right, for my fifth character, this guy was one of my favorite uh characters ever. Frog from Chrono Trigger.
Okay.
Frog from Chrono Trigger. Classic, kind of tragic story, but this guy was fun to play as, had some great moves, and he was an interesting character, kind of like Vincent. He's just interesting, supporting team character.
All right. Nah. He looks interesting. I never played Chrono Trigger.
You missed Chrono
I
Trigger.
miss Chrono Trigger. It's one of those things that I put off to the side. I'm like, I will play it, but I just don't.
Let me tell you something interesting about Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger deals with time travel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much right at the beginning of the game, you can go to the end boss fight if you wanted to.
But you'll lose, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
But you can go.
Yeah, you go check them out and get whooped real quick, and then start over and go back to where you need to be at. Yeah. All right. That sounds interesting. Chrono Trigger, go straight to the boss and get beat down.
Yeah. Now Chrono Trigger had a great storyline actually. It was a really good storyline. I'm surprised we don't there was like a little handheld version of the game that got remade maybe 10 years back or something like that, which was fun to see the artwork and the game brought back. But that is a game that would be really awesome to see brought back in the vein of Final Fantasy VII with these characters, that storyline. Is Chrono Trigger is one of the best games I ever played.
I think Chrono Trigger might be. I'll check. I think it might be on Xbox, or at least some version of Chrono Trigger.
Well, you can play the original one from I think it was the 90s. Like, that is a game you can still get. But I'm saying it'd be nice to see that get the Final Fantasy treatment where they really flush this thing out, bring it up to modern graphics, and
Yeah,
it'd be cool.
maybe. I mean, start writing them. Who's the artist or the?
I think there are some legal issues with this, why we probably haven't
Oh,
seen it.
oh, okay. Well, that'd be the reason. All right. So
Yeah.
my fifth, because I'm a first person shooter, and despite the abuse that I take from these companies, I got to go with Call of Duty, and I got to go with John Soap McTavish. He may not be the best for some people, but I love Soap. Soap was a dope guy. He's a dope side character. When you first meet up with him, he's like, he's low in the ranks, and you're kind of helping him, not helping him, but he's working his way through, you know, the war or whatever mission that you're going through. He's being, but he's being helped out with what's his name? With well, he works with Ghost, especially on the last one, and then John Price. That one, everyone knows the John Price mission where you hiding through the weeds and what's it, Chernobyl, I believe it is.
Really?
Yeah, and you kind of, it's a stealth mission. It's sometimes it's a pain in the sometimes it's a pain in the butt. Excuse me, about the curse. Sometimes it's a pain in the butt, but you kind of hiding through the weeds, and you're in a full ghillie suited up, hiding through the weeds. You gotta wait. It's like you go when I tell you to go. You'll stop when I tell you to stop. Right? Horrible accent. But either way, stay with me. And it's just one of those missions where it's annoying but fun at the same time, because even before that you're running through, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna take the guy to the left, you take the guy to the right, and you're kind of stealthy sniping your way to this main point where you got to get the boss, and it's a great time. But Soap is a great character, and I love seeing him throughout other series. They kind of flesh him out some more from the first time you saw him to like where we're at now in Call of Duty, Warzone, and everything like that. So yeah, Soap, that's my guy.
I never got into Call of Duty.
I
It's
mean, yeah,
first person shooters are hard for me. All right, let's have a little lightning round here. We'll give whatever honorable mentions didn't make the cut.
okay. I only have one honorable mention. Actually, they're coming from like the same place. I got like two. No, actually, I got three. But go on. Let's lightning round. Let's go.
All right, so here are some honorable mentions. For me, roleplay games often have just the best supporting characters by far in general. Final Fantasy VII is no exception to this rule. It has ridiculous amount of great supporting characters. I won't list them all, but they're all pretty great. And the same is true with Chrono Trigger. It has just a wonderful list of supporting characters. But I would say Goro from Mortal Kombat
Okay.
was this great kind of supporting character that popped off. So interesting when it came out. Zero from Mega Man was this cool new introductory character, supporting character. The Butler from the Tomb Raider video game was a hysterical little supporting
Yes,
character.
yes, yes.
Um, I'd even say like the Ghost from Pac-Man might count as interesting supporting characters, although
Hmm.
that might be a stretch. And like, what was the name of the robot in Portal that was
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
like Glad OS or something? GLaDOS.
Hold on.
But that Portal's robot that was just kind of trolling you the whole time was a great supporting character.
Yeah, GLaDOS. Yeah, known as Orange and Blue to GLaDOS. Yeah, GLaDOS. All right, all right, all right, all right. I got a couple from Mass Effect. First of all, Jack.
Hey,
Yeah, no, no.
anyone with that name is going to be worth mentioning. Come on.
I mean, Jack was a bit crazy. She was a bit hot. Also, everyone knows a little bit of crazy mixed with a little bit of hot. It's a bad combination, or a good combination, depending on who you are. But Jack was like a psycho. A lot of tattoos. She was psychically. She had psychic powers and whatnot. So her, Miranda Lawson, also from Mass Effect. We all know why Miranda Lawson was dope. Um, and we got from Halo, Sarge Johnson.
I was waiting for you to talk about Halo.
Bro, Sarge Johnson was the man. First of all, the backstory on Sarge Johnson, he was actually a Spartan. He was in the first Spartan project. before they got with the extremes of the Spartan 2s, but he was in the very first Spartan project, which was called the Orion Project. And he technically is genetically enhanced to a degree. Not to the point of the Spartan 2s and Master Chief, but he's strong. He's stronger than your average human. And that actually might be one of the reasons why, well, this is kind of fan fiction to a degree, why when the flood jumped on him, they rejected him because there was something genetically wrong with him. But yeah, so Spartan, so Sarge Johnson, Linda 858. No, is it Linda? No, Kelly. Sorry, Kelly is also. Oh no, Kelly wasn't in it. I'm thinking of the books now. Damn it. All right, well I can't put her in. Those are mine. Those are my threes.
You know what? They're great lists, man. They're all great characters. And the funny thing about a really good supporting characters in video game or even, comic book, action hero kind of content, or just supporting characters in general, man, they really, really usually make the hero figure or the protagonist figure just that much better.
Oh yeah, because you'll see why the hero. In some cases, you'll see why the hero is the hero by the way he leads them or how they interact with him being a leader, and so on and so forth, like stuff like that. Like I'm thinking of the Halo and everything with the Halo. Like you see why the character, like the other Spartans, like kind of revere Master Chief because he is one of the best of them. But yeah,
Right. All right, good list, good debate. Rich, I think it's time to get to the reason why we're here.
why are we here? Oh, first of all, totally forgot to get that graphic, the Dune graphic. But we're here for little transmission music. Dune 2 or
That's
Dune
right.
Part 2.
Part 2, Dune, the second part of 1. So let's do a little spoiler-free thoughts on the thing, and then we'll destroy this movie for everybody.
Right. Wait, do we have a main event? No, we don't.
This is the main event.
Oh, okay. Well,
We're in it right now, Rich. This is the main event.
we're in it right now. Let's go.
All right. Spoiler-free thoughts. I'll go first. The movie's beautiful.
Okay.
I mean, it's visually very it's very pleasing to look at. The acting is good. You got a lot of really nice characters. Javier Bardem is wonderful. No spoilers on some of the other characters who pop in and out, but the acting is good. The story is a little where the movie got a little hard for me because I'm wondering, it's maybe a little self-indulgent, arguably. I enjoyed the movie for the most part, but it's odd because I think I could have skipped it in the theaters and been equally satisfied watching it at home,
Yeah.
except for the biggest perk of this film is the visual for me. So maybe IMAX would just like keep scaling the screen up. Does that help? So those are my spoiler-free thoughts.
All right, my spoiler free, a little bit more simplistic. It was a good time. The story does get a little at times. But other than that, like visually, it was good. I couldn't do IMAX because those chairs we don't have recliners in IMAX, and I wasn't doing almost 3 hours sitting in just a rocker. Wasn't doing it. So I just got the whatever the laser edition of it was, and yeah, it was it was a good time for the most part.
All right. So let's spoil this thing.
Right.
I,
I forgot. I told myself I was like, check in on that before you leave, Rich, and I totally it slipped my mind as I was walking out the theater.
I specifically avoided that thing. ETC, thanks for joining the chat. All right, so we're gonna spoil this thing as best we can.
Hold on. Connie asks, does it? Oh wait, what? No wait. There we go.
Oh, what's the popcorn bucket?
Does it honor the context of the books? I didn't read the books. I don't know if you did.
Well, I haven't either.
Okay.
My friend has read the books, and he said they're pretty good. He said that the books were way better than the original movie that came out, for what that's worth.
Okay.
But that original movie came out what, the 80s?
Yeah. And Connie, I'll give you a quick peek of
The popcorn bucket. All right,
the
Rich
bucket.
is gonna pull up the popcorn bucket.
There you
The
go.
popcorn bucket, where you reach your hand into the wormhole to pull the popcorn out. All right, take it off the screen.
All right.
Let's talk about this movie.
All right, let's
Oh,
go.
all right. Thanks for that, ETC. All right, so Dune Part 2, we're following pretty much all the same characters. Paul, House of Atreides, is inducted into the Furman people. He's learning their ways. He's
He's not just learning their ways. He's learning them and picking it up pretty quick, almost like he is a Furman.
yeah, he's even more so though. He's accelerating in their ways,
Right.
excelling in their ways, in an almost innovative type way on some levels, right? He's also getting stronger in his own kind of, whatever that mind thing is his family line has going on. We kind of get the sense that the whole arc of this thing has been orchestrated by his family's bloodline somewhere along the way that gave the Furman this prophecy of basically a messiah coming to the desert,
Yeah.
riding giant sandworms and learning their ways and leading them to some sort of promised land. And Paul's also kind of aware that his family's history may be duplicitous in this, and so he's hesitant to really dive into it because he's getting premonitions as the film goes on that his involvement could be the end of a lot of people's lives, and
Yeah.
he's really in love with what's her character's name?
Cheney?
Zendaya.
Cheney? I'm probably saying that wrong. Chani. That's
So
the
he's
sound.
really in love with her and doesn't want to mess that up. And his heart is really driving his way, while his mom is more on a quest of power, where she even becomes like there's a name. Sorry, I'm being really general. She's
I forgot the term they use, but pretty much like their seer, their
yeah,
I want to say witch doctor, but something to that. Their shaman.
yeah.
Let's say
Essentially,
shaman
she's
kind of.
the something mother. Forget. We get Josh Brolin comes back. And so essentially what happens is Paul starts leading the Furman on a series of attacks and assaults against the people who have occupied the planet to take all the spice. And they are just wrecking havoc on these teams of people. You got Drax. Hey, he has a name also, and it's not Drax. He's angry the entire film.
Glassu, right? Because where we left off with, he took over. He's the one that overthrew the family,
That's
and
right.
he's taken over with the help of his uncle. And yeah, so now his whole thing is he needs to bring Spice Productions back up to par, and also thwart this rebel faction of the Furman that's taking out their Spice production.
Yeah.
And he has somewhat of the planet in check, but the rebel factions are hitting him and hitting him too hard, and he can't really get a grasp on everything. And he's kind of looking like a failure to the Baron, and the Baron's like, "Hey, listen, get your act together. I'm gonna have to replace you, pretty much."
And he does. He replaces him with Elvis. or Bald Elvis,
What do you call him Elvis for?
because the kid played Elvis in the movie. It's
Oh, did he? Oh, okay.
Yes, Austin Butler. Austin Butler plays the Drax replacement. His name's not Drax. So he comes in, and then let's see. Then there's this the big showdown between him and them, and then he wins. But the movie's not over because there's going to be a part 3. Spoiler. All right, and that was Dune. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. Catch us next week. We'll be here same time. Listen, can I be honest, Rich? I had trouble watching this movie because, like I said, part of me really enjoyed it, and it was visually stunning, and the acting was good. And like I said, Harvey Bardem is killing it, and Timothée Chalamet is great, Zendaya is great, and the acting is good. And then there's the movie, and the movie in general kind of read like this. I'll give you an example why I had a problem with this film.
Okay.
There's all this buildup for Timothée Chalamet's character to be inducted into the firman, to be one of their own, one of them, and the last test that he had to go through is he had to tame the worm. He had to ride the worm, right? The sandworm. And Harvey Bardem's character is great. He's like, hey, listen, man, don't show off. You don't got to do anything spectacular, right? Just stay alive, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're setting this thing up. Is how you get on top of this thing. And so he calls the worm, and you see it coming 50 miles off, 100 miles off. And you're like, holy Jesus, he's going to get on top of this thing. And when this worm comes, it like obliterates the sand dunes. And he's running, he's jumping, and he's falling on top of the worm. He's grabbing anything he can for the moment. He's getting his hooks into the thing. He's got his hooks into the thing. It's the most heroic, spectacular moment. And Harvey Bardem's like, not that big. And right. And so we know that this was no easy feat.
Right.
Right? It's like not everybody is able to ride the worm.
Okay. Yeah.
And we know that when we see him do that. When we see him accomplish this thing, we're sitting here going, holy hell, he really is one of them. And even all of them can't do what he has pulled off here.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally like the next scene, something happens and the entire everyone is on the back of a worm. Like there's like seven worms, and you got grandmas knitting sweaters on the back of the worms as the whole village is traveling across the desert on worms. Like there are people in baskets just kind of like throwing cards, and I'm sitting here going, wait. I know that this is like their mode of transportation on some level. I know it's like jumping on the top of a railway car, but you just took this thing that was supposed to be really hard, special, and spectacular that he pulled off, and then the next scene, you got grandma knitting a sweater on the back of the thing, and it kind of diminished the whole thing, and suddenly none of it meant anything.
Yeah, it definitely downplayed it, and I noticed it, and I guess I just blocked it out because I was like, let me just get through the rest of this with the whole story and everything.
Because you have to block it out.
Yeah, you have to, because if I sat there, I've been thinking about it the whole one, like, because there was at least 2 times that we had that. It was when the mother. Can you still hear me?
Well, something happened. I see a big green thing on your face.
Okay.
Oh, you're back.
I don't know what happened there. But there was 2 instances. It was one when the mother went down to the southern tribe.
Yeah.
And they got her little carriage on it, and I was like, how? But okay.
How did they get her on it?
Right. And then
when I saw how he got on it.
Right. So I'm like, how do they like chuck her on, and then we secure her as it drives back? Like I don't understand. And then again, when they got all the survivors from the assault and bring them down south, I was just like, how did they get all these like injured people and these kids and women and elderly onto this worm, and then get them covered? Like I even if they were to sit, to jump on it, like I don't think everyone would be physically capable to do so.
Can I tell you, there's a reason why they don't show that in the film. There's a reason why they don't show anyone actually trying to get on the thing. Because the only time you see anyone actually get on the thing is when Paul, Timothée Chalamet's character, gets on his worm, and it's not easy.
No.
And so they never show anyone else having to do it, but then they show you everyone else on the worms.
Yeah.
And like 10 to 50 of them are on the back of one worm.
You know, Connie, they might have, because they did
But they're not.
when they transported the mother, though, they did have a name for that worm. So I think that there might have been something that they didn't show us, which they should have showed us to kind of make it make sense. Because again, the way they were showing us how you get on these worms, like you need to, it could cost you your life.
Yeah, they're not. No, this is like, but they weren't like a worm farm where you just went and wrangled your worm up. The way they had to even call them is they took a beacon, put it in the correct spot of the sand, and called whatever the nearest worm in shot was that hurt it is the one they're getting.
Yeah.
Right? They set up the rules. We know how they call the worm. They're not just hanging out there.
Yeah.
These things are 100 miles away.
Yeah, that was that.
And they're so dangerous that they have to do this hysterical, weird, funny sand walk through the desert to break up the rhythm of their footprints so as not to draw attention because they don't want to be eaten by these worms.
Yeah, I wish they were not doing the whole movie. It was like randomly like thrown out in the movie at random times. They would walk like this.
First movie, and you see it a little bit in the second one. So it's like, I don't know, man. There was a lack of continuity and logic in some of the things we're seeing in this film, and that.
I don't know with that, but okay.
So I don't know. So I guess that's a microcosm of where I struggled with this film. I was a little torn between. It's clearly got a lot of nuance to the film, and there's a lot of story plot, but it's also just really, on some level, it felt like it's actually a really simple story that's being overcomplicated.
Yeah. Hold on. Maybe they made a connection to the worm and they had them rotate around. I mean, we could speculate that, but they never.
It was filling in the logic.
Yeah, that.
I mean, what we
if
do
they
know
said
is,
that, it would make sense. But yeah,
what we do know is they capture the baby worms.
right. But they kill them. They capture the baby worms strictly to get the blood from them.
Right, and they keep them small.
Yeah, you don't get them too big, and they don't keep them together because they'll kill each other.
That's right. They don't keep two worms next to each other.
So I don't know. What I liked, one dope scene. What?
Wait. You're right. They don't keep them together because they'll kill each other.
Yeah.
And yet they're riding like 6 worms right next to each other. Again, the more you kind of poke at it, the more questions. And you know what? Maybe the answers are in the book, and I haven't read the book, so I'm only going off of the movie. And I tend to be a pretty good audience member where I really track what's going on and I sit and I pay attention and I get involved in it. And I don't know. I don't know if this one's on me or this one's a little on them.
Might be a little bit of both. But anyway, one scene that I liked was when they were on the Baron's home world.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what it was about, when they walked out into the sun, or was it the moon?
Right.
When they walked out and like everything just turned like white and just straight black.
They said it. They said the sun was different. It was a white sun or something like that. Superman on Krypton has a red sun.
Right.
We have a yellow sun. They had I think they said it was a white sun or something like that. So it put this weird cast over everything when you're outside.
Yeah, I thought that was dope though. Like no matter who you were, like as soon as you stepped outside, like you're white or you're black, or everyone was white because everyone was white. But the change of the colors to like straight white, straight black, it was like pretty dope to me. I don't know why that stuck out to me. I don't know.
But that scene was weak at best. It's like, all right, so the scene he's talking about, Austin Butler's character, who's kind of like the cousin of the Baron or something like that. It's his birthday, and he goes into this battle arena with 1 billion spectators around him, and he's going to fight these 3 criminals. But they're all drugged, so it's not much of a fight. And he knows they're all drugged going into it. And they're not only just drugged, they're like so drugged off their rockers that, yeah, they maybe got a weapon in the hand, but they're literally walking sideways into a wall kind of drugged,
Yeah.
right? And like all Austin Butler's character has to do is walk around just kind of like that, and he's done. But one of the characters, one of the three criminals, isn't drugged,
Mm.
but he's still like, he's been in prison, he's malnourished,
Yeah.
he's in no condition to actually fight. And so Austin Butler's character kills the first two criminals and then realizes that the other one's not drugged.
And not only he not only realized it, but the servant for the Baron realized it. He was like, "Wait a minute, should
Why
we
is this
call
guy
it off?" You know. So
right?
yeah,
Like, but that's the other thing. Like, they were so panicked that this clearly inebriated, not equipped prisoner, not really criminal, but war prisoner criminal, you knew he was gonna, like, there was no stakes to it, right? You knew he was gonna die, and you knew it was gonna be pretty easy death, and so you're just expecting you're expecting a kind of death that tells you everything about Austin's character, right? Something that's overly violent, unnecessarily vicious, um, maybe beyond gruesome. And you kind of don't get that either. So the whole scene was kind of like the Worms, where you're sitting here going, we already knew he was going to win the battle. We knew it wasn't going to be much of a battle, because if this ended up being much of a battle, then the end battle between him and Paul, we know, wouldn't have mattered at all.
yeah,
And that was another thing that made sense. He kind of, it wasn't like he mopped the floor with this guy, right? The
no,
guy, the guy managed to actually hold his own a little bit. You
yeah,
know, it was an easy victory for him. Don't get me wrong, but he did kind of hold his own. It wasn't like so disproportionate. But then when we got to the ending battle between him and Timothy Chalamet's character, we're watching an entirely different person fight here, which almost didn't even make sense with the person we saw in the arena. You know,
yeah,
like his skill set was insanely good in the ending battle.
yeah. It was, and I don't like. Feel like Timothy should have died. Like, Paul should have died, in my opinion. Like he should have. He played. He might have played with him a little bit too much. He should have just ended him. But obviously, he wasn't going to, because that's not how the story goes. But if this went another way, Bald Elvis should have.
Bald Elvis.
And
That,
if I
the
wrote
song
this, I'd have been
Elvis.
like, based off the skills that you showed me, Bald Elvis would have won. Let's be for real.
Well, in that final battle, maybe, but not in the arena battle.
No, in the arena battle, that was weird. It was almost like the prisoner was at the same skill level as him, and he if it wasn't for the other guys hitting him up with in the back and everything like that, and he had to call him off,
Oh
that that,
yeah,
that prisoner would have
about
won.
that.
I honestly believe that prisoner definitely would have won.
Like there was like no one had any. No one actually validated Belvis's fighting paralysis in the arena scene, right? Like
Uh-huh.
they did the opposite. They were worried for Belvis.
Yeah.
So it was like, I don't know, man. It's like it wasn't set up very well, as opposed to if they all knew he was this vicious creature. I mean, and we see him, he's a deplorable person. He's just like killing women for the fun of it in his bedroom. It's just
Yeah.
odd. And feeding other, I assume, pseudo prostitute kind of figures to his slave figures. So we know he's a terrible person.
Right.
Um,
And then we even got a glimpse of that because the the princess was talking to the other. What is their shaman woman's name?
right.
Mother
Who's in the
something mother.
first?
But yeah, but she sat there and said, "Oh well, we know that he killed his mother because he's not he's
Right.
psychologically unstable."
Yeah. And so, okay, so then there's a little jumbled up, this recap, but so then Paul's mom drinks the water of life, and the water
Right.
of life is basically this blue liquid that is siphoned out of the sandworm. baby sandworms, because you're probably not getting it out of the adult sandworm, so they take it from the kids and then they kill the sandworm. So they suck out this blue liquid from the baby sandworm, and his mom drinks it, and she lives, and so she turns into the new mother. There's a name for it.
Yeah,
We're not saying it.
shaman. Keep going. I'll look it. I'll look it up.
Okay, and so the second she drinks it and survives, because it is a poison and it kills most people, but she survives, and it gives her the ability to basically see into the future, right? And she tells Paul, "You have to drink the water of life." But no men drink the water of life. In fact, any man who's ever attempted to drink the water of life has died. And everybody knows this. So Paul is forbidden to do this. And yet, when the Reverend Mother, is it Reverend
Reverend
Mother?
Mother, yes,
Okay,
Reverend
I knew
Mother.
it was Mother something. It was come to me eventually. All right. So Paul's mom becomes the Reverend Mother of the Furman. Now, there's also a Reverend Mother of the Atreides house, right? And we
Right.
saw her in the first one. She's the one who made Paul stick his hand in a box
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
survive the pain, right?
Yeah.
Now a girl also has Belvis stick his hand in her box and survive the pain. He does. So
All right.
it's a thing in this context.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Reverend Mother. So now you have feuding Reverend Mothers. This will come in later. But anyways, Paul's Reverend Mother and Mother tells Paul, you got to drink the water of life. And she also tells the keeper of the sandworm, baby sandworms, who is the only black woman in the content, I think, that I saw, and she lives in a cave. They keep her away from everyone else.
Keep her a cave. They keep her barefoot, and as
Yeah,
Chris would say, in the kitchen. But anyway, we're not going to go there.
well, she definitely liked wrangling the worms. So
She,
the Reverend Mother tells her,
okay.
she tells her, listen, Paul's going to come and let him drink the water of life. And she says, no, essentially, no men's allowed to drink the water of life. And she says, do it.
Yeah.
And she does it in that voice thing that commands people to do what they tell her. So when Paul later does eventually show up, before I get to that, Josh Brolin's character comes back from the dead, essentially, right? And he's working with the people who are now enslaving the Furmen, killing the Furmen, and stealing the spice. And so Timothy Chalamet's character leads an attack, ends up seeing, for some reason, he doesn't kill the guy, serendipitous, I guess, sees that it's Josh Brolin's character, his old friend. They hug, they embrace. He lets him into the Furman
Well, no.
camp.
Well, I don't think he was working for the other house. I think he was a smuggler.
He was
Okay.
a smuggler, but he was kind of with them in that moment, stealing spice. That's what that machine was.
Oh yeah. He was with the smugglers to steal spice. Yes.
Right. And so anyway, he gets inducted into the Furman because Paul is his friend, and none of the Furman trust him though. And what he does tell Paul, he said,
not just his friend. He was his, I believe, his combat master, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, his confidant, his mentor,
his master, his old master.
Right. And he does tell him. He says, "Well, listen, I know where your family's ballistic atomic arsenal is from the last 97 generations."
That's wild.
And Paul goes, "What? Show me where this is." And it's like some rock cave cliff thing, and he's like, it's literally hanging out in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, what better place to put it than in plain sight? So they go in there, and there's 1 billion atomic warheads. Now this is where again the content gets interesting, because it's kind of like the worm incident, right? It's like, okay, now you clearly have the ability to kind of easily take everything back.
Yeah.
But they don't ever. They fire off 3 of the 97 generations worth of atomic warheads. They end up firing off about 3 of them in one shot, and then that was that. But they never like launch a full scale attack with them. There is a battle at the end of it, but it's not like they just obliterate everything for the sake of it.
Right.
Okay. Now, what was the thing I was going to go back to?
So
Yep.
they have the atomics. He only shoots off 3 of them within the battle. That was mainly to take out a certain portion of what the enemies, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really it. And then the rest they were going to use as a backup for, if things don't go their way, we're just going to obliterate the spice fields. So
Right.
pretty much, if you can't have them or if we can't have them, you can't have them either, type of thing.
Exactly. That's right. The other thing I just remembered was, so when Paul does eventually drink the water of life, right?
Okay.
And he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to do what his mom's telling him to.
He doesn't even want to go to the city because of his visions.
Well, he doesn't want to go south
Right. Right.
because he knows in the southern part of it, where the world is considered to be uninhabitable, there's actually a large population there living under the cover of the sandstorms. And he knows that the people in the South are basically religious zealots, right? They really believe in the prophecies, and they're going to follow him. And he knows that they're going to follow him to their deaths.
Right.
And so he doesn't want to go to the South. Well, long story short, he ends up going to the South. And on the way, he stops to drink the water of life because his mom tells him to. And he goes, well, I need to be able to see. I need sight. I need the vision. She says, drink the water, you'll have the vision. Now, Paul dies. He essentially dies.
Yes.
Zendaya's character shows up. She's beating on his chest, and they have a moment, and she, I guess, puts a little bit of tear spit and blood goo, earthworm goo on his lips, and Paul wakes up. I'd wake up too. What are you putting in my mouth? And, and he comes back to life, and Zendaya is pissed. Now, Zendaya's character kind of storms off comically 3 times in this film, where like she's a little put off, rightfully so, and then she kind of gets angry, huffy, and literally just walks out of the scene. And like, it happens 3 times in the movie. So this is one of the times it happens. He wakes up, she smacks him, how dare you drink the blood of the worm, and she's out. And then Paul now, though, has sight. He's able to see the future. And he says, I see all these paths, potential paths. He basically becomes a cult leader, right? Yeah, kind of basically becomes a cult leader, begrudgingly, though, because he doesn't want to have power like that. Although he does start manipulating it after, because basically what happens is he becomes Doctor Strange for a moment, right? He's got the time stone, and he looks at all the infinite possibilities, and he says, I see everything that might happen, and we pretty much get obliterated in all these paths, but there's a narrow slit. There's this narrow track we can take. And so he starts leading them down this narrow track, and that's the path we know he's taking. Doesn't say it's going to be an easy one. Doesn't say everyone's going to survive. He does say to his mom about Zendaya, don't worry, she'll come around. She'll see it eventually. And this is where, by the end of the movie, now this is a big spoiler, humongous spoiler. Plug your ears if you don't want to hear this spoiler, because I'm about to say it. There's a third part.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a third part to the movie. And so by the end of this movie, I know, because Paul has sight, that Zendaya comes around. And when she wasn't coming around, and I know it's like near the end of the movie, I'm like, wait a minute. She's supposed to come around. Is there more? Are they going to spring a third part on us? And they do.
Is Granite from Steven Universe? Yeah.
Granite?
It's been a while since I watched Steven Universe, but Granite was pretty tough, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a minute since I watched Steven Universe.
Garnet? So anyway, I kind of started realizing that the movie wasn't going to be resolved when, and it was the way I felt about the first one. I was like, this isn't going to, I didn't, maybe they told people, but I wasn't part of the conversation. I didn't know that there was going to be a part two, a second half, a second installment of Dune just to get the story out there when I was watching part one. And when I was watching part two, I did not know that you needed a third part just to get the story finished. And
Yeah.
it sets me
Yeah.
up in a weird way. I start getting really put out, Rich. If I'm being honest, it is hard for me to watch a movie that has no story conclusion unless you tell me. If people are honest and upfront about what they're peddling, I can usually enjoy it and I'll agree to it because I know what I'm expecting. I'm expecting the story
Right.
not to be finished. The Lord of the Rings trilogy dropped one movie at a time, but they weren't
But
hiding the fact that it was a trilogy.
that's right. You knew it was going to be a trilogy, so you knew what you were
No.
going into. Yes.
Yes, you knew it was going to be a cliffhanger, and and I was down for it. You know, I watched that first one going, wow, man, I can't wait for the second one. I watched that second one going, ooh, I still got a third one. I'm watching these Dune movies going, wait, it's not over? Ugh, what? Come on. And so I'm having a weird reaction at the end of these films because it feels like they're going surprise as opposed to this is going to be a 3-part trilogy.
And
Buckle up and get ready for the ride. I
they
could
did
agree with that.
that for Spider-Man, Into the Multiverse, and all that other crap. In my
Come
opinion, they did not
on.
tell me it was going to be a part two. I was
No.
like, it's going to be
As
there's
much
going
as
to be
Lawrence might want to defend it, he ain't here today.
exactly. But yeah, like coming to the end of it, because he put up the radio transmission saying the other houses, tell them to yield, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
He had the king or the emperor to kneel to him, and then when they came back, that the other houses were like, "No, we're not going to." I'm like, "Oh, this is about to be a space battle now. Like, what are we doing?" So I'm looking at my clock. I was watching my time looking at my clock the whole time. I'm like, wait a minute, this
Yeah.
is this is getting around that time. Ain't no way they about to have a space battle right now. And I was like, oh, we guess we're gonna have a part three.
So I'm where I'm torn because it's like on one level, I'm happy to have the prospect of potentially more good content, but I'm also like I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird one for me because I'm put out because I'm still haven't seen just a story.
Who told you this, Corey? Where are you getting your information from? Then there's going to be a prequel, which is going to be a two-parter after the third one. Come
He's
on
he's
now,
just making stuff up.
is he?
He just wants to talk in the chat.
It was a great experience. I
Yeah,
loved it.
and they were upfront about it. You knew that what they were doing was so expansive, they needed to break it into 3 movies. And they
Right.
told you, they go, Lord of the Rings is going to be 3 movies. And you're like, what? And they were like, yeah, we shot them all at once. You're like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I had a similar thing with Matrix 2, right? Like Matrix 2, I think Matrix 2, we knew there was the third one was coming, and I think we knew that they had shot them both at once and they were going to be released separately. So I
Mhm.
wasn't upset about Matrix 2. But what was weird about that is Matrix 1 was the standalone story. Matrix 2 is kind of unwatchable without the third one because the story just stops real abruptly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
hurts the third one because the first 20 to 30 minutes of the third one, you just wait for Neo to wake up. Spoiler
True.
alert.
Yes.
And
If you
so,
haven't watched it by now, like, come on.
right. And so there's something weird about films sometimes when they're just splitting the narrative in weird sections.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of what's going on with Dune. I get it. You're building to the big conclusion. And if I'm being honest, Rich, and I might as well be honest with you, I have no confidence that they're actually going to resolve the story after the third movie either. There
I
might
would,
be a fourth one, and that's
right,
cool,
I would be
but
surprised. Nah, I mean, listen, whatever, however they do it, at least let the people know what you want to do with it. If it seems like when you do stuff like this, he's like you're kind of just like, are we going to do a sequel to this? Maybe, maybe not. Let's see how the first one does.
nah,
Let's see
come
how the
on.
second
Man.
one does. Let's see how
They
the
knew
third one does.
no, 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 no. They knew full well that this was a trilogy. And maybe it's been out there. I haven't been consuming all the blogs on the Dune thing. And I know it's a big book, and I know there was a television series, so I know there's a ton of content out there revolving the subject, but I,
Yeah,
I just I guess I'm put out because I want to see the story, and I'm not. I'm seeing it's so small little chunks ultimately, you know.
yeah. Listen, I don't. Who's here read the book? Let us know if you read the book. How does it? Actually, no. Don't let me know how it ends. But
Yeah, we'll spoil the second installment for us,
yeah,
but don't spoil the third one.
yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Like, what more else is there? Didn't he set out to do what he had to do? He got the emperor back. He got pretty much got revenge. He has the spice field. The only thing he just doesn't have are the well. Is he
Well,
sitting
but
on a throne now? Is that what's happening?
well, keep this in mind. What he learns when he gains full sight, he learns that he's cousin to the Baron,
Okay, right.
or son to the
Well,
Baron, or his
yeah,
father
yeah.
was.
He gained full sight and right,
He's
because
bloodline to the. He's basically Luke. I am your father,
right
right?
because the mother found out also when she drank that she was the daughter to the Baron. Right.
Exactly. That's right. Exactly. So he's cousin, or he's nephew. I guess nephew to the Baron, or whatever it is. And so, I guess that's it. That's all I got to say on the movie. I mean, I don't know if we really even talked about the movie. There's a lot of fight sequences. The combat's pretty good.
Yeah, the
Uh,
combat. I love the tech of the. I don't know how I want to call them the whiteheads,
but
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 the
it's
baldies.
inconsistent.
Huh?
It's inconsistent. Like in the first movie, there was the phaser thing that let you basically avoid all uh, incoming attacks unless it was from close range, right? Like
Right,
knives
right.
you were vulnerable to, but you could absorb a gun blast.
But it seemed like they didn't have it for most of the movie.
They didn't,
Yeah, they home.
which
What's his name? Bald Elvis had it for his little fight ceremony, his birthday party.
right,
Um,
which he
and
took off.
yeah, he took off, and I think that was it. I think everyone else
You
was rocking.
saw a little bit of it in the ending battle, but all the Furmen were fighting with knives, so
Right. It
that
kind
really
of
didn't work for them.
yeah. It didn't make any point to have it at that. Yeah. But even still, I love the design of the Baldies, their tech. It was like that weird kind of gave me like Fifth Element
Yes.
type of vibe, and also when they can click off, kind of like give them like the anti grav. I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, awesome! That
Why
scene
didn't
was great.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Oh, get to the high ground." It's like, and they kind of just drifted off, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." That's like even when they drop from ships, I'm like, that's dope tech. They should have that. They should have that going all the time. But it seemed like they only had it. I didn't see what the
Yeah,
Emperor squad.
Josh Brolin's character had it.
He had it. Yeah,
When
yeah, yeah.
Josh
He did.
Brolin
He did. He, when he
got
dropped
out of
down,
the ship,
but he
he just like landed gently. So he had the same tech, and
right.
some version of that gravity thing was on the Baron's like giant floating ball things above his head that was
Yeah,
kind
he
of
did have
drifting
that.
around.
And I mean, other than that, I don't know. It was other than that, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the feel and texture of the world.
Yeah.
It did get a little bit long with me. Like sometimes like the dialogue gets a little bit too much for me. I'm just like, and I had to force myself to pay attention to it, and like maybe make sure I don't miss anything. Um, Other than that, man, do I want to see a third one for this? If you give me some more action, maybe. I don't know how they're going to play that out. Maybe some space battles. I haven't seen any like space combat, but ah, I mean, it was good seeing Christopher Walken. You know,
Yeah,
let me be the emperor. No, I don't know. I'm not even gonna try to. Okay.
it was good seeing Christopher Walken though. He was very Christopher Walken though.
Yeah, he was
Um,
very Christopher Walken. Barely walking, but Christopher
he was
Walken.
barely walking. Yeah, he mostly was sitting. He was Christopher sitting a lot,
But
but he was Christopher standing at the end of it though.
he was Christopher standing, and then he was Christopher kneeling, which I was
And
surprised because he seemed very defiant. I thought he was just gonna be like, "Nah, take my head," but as he bowed down and took the kiss the ring.
true character is shown in times of great conflict. Um, yeah. All right. So, any chat stuff we should get caught up on before we wrap this up? I'm not seeing
Connie's
this
saying,
yet.
"Oh wait, hold on, no, let's go. Let's go here. I guarantee they're making these based off audience turnouts. Yeah, maybe this franchise will spin off and last. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they definitely did the movies and then the TV shows. They definitely have enough content to last many more movies. Eventually, have his and Shawnee's children get plenty of screen time, et cetera, et cetera. All right,
Oh,
I'm
well,
seeing
that's
these.
interesting because we do get uh, a vision of his sister who's been talking to. So his mom
Right.
is pregnant, and the embryo that's growing in her womb has actually been talking to her the entire time.
That's not even an embryo. It's
And
a full on fetus at this point. It's a baby.
you're right. Yeah, it's baby fetus is
Which
growing.
which I like because it kind of help explain, assuming that they develop it like we develop, it kind of explain like the time frame how everything is progressing. Because you kind of
Well,
see the development of the child, so you're like, oh, okay, so we're talking like a few months now.
right, assuming the incubation stage is the same or
Right.
similar. But then we see when Paul gets sight, he sees an image of his sister fully
Mm,
grown, right?
right.
And she's got to be like 17 to 23, somewhere in that ballpark, I would assume.
Mm,
Um, so we know that there's definitely a time jump somewhere in the content, or the content just has that much time tethered to it. So Paul is fully, by the end of it, he rallies the people of Zion, the Furman,
people of Zion.
right? I mean, what are we looking at, right? They're all in a cave. It's basically the Matrix. And he goes, I will. He gets very biblical, very robust, and he basically says, "I'm going to lead you to the promised land."
Pretty
Um,
much.
and they all kind of get behind that. 5 additional books. All right, so there's tons of stuff to hang this tent on. So maybe they're gonna just keep dropping it like this, and the story's never gonna resolve itself. The problem is the cliffhangers don't feel like there's really any resolution to what we're watching. At least that's the way it affected me watching this one. I was like, I need a little more resolution, but I won't be fooled a third time, Rich.
You might be.
I won't. I would be seriously something else. Yes. Well, someone speaking from reading the books, I assume.
Fetus,
Fetus or
yeah, they're
child,
the same.
same thing.
I
We're
believe the
not getting
same.
to that. This is not political post. But what I will say is, I would be surprised if the third movie actually resolved itself. If
We'll
the third
see.
movie resolved itself, I actually might be surprised again. Um, all right, let's wrap this up. I would say I enjoyed the movie. Yes, I thought the acting was good. I thought the visuals were phenomenal. Some of the sequences were very exciting.
Mhm.
Uh, but I was ultimately a little underwhelmed overall, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
So those are my final thoughts on the film.
I will piggyback off of that. I honestly, it's a great watch in the theater. Go out there. Don't get IMAX if you can help it because those seats are uncomfortable. If you're going to be sitting for just about 3 hours, get yourself some recliners. Um, yeah, I hope if I hope they wrap it up in the third. Will I watch it in the theater? I don't know. Maybe, maybe. I don't know. I'm a sucker. I probably will. But it overall, it was a good watch, despite a few things here and there. Ignore the fact that people are easily transported on worms. You be thinking about that way too much,
Surprisingly easy.
and it's a good watch. You go check it out. Go out to the theaters. Next weekend. Have a good time with your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your girl and boyfriend, your non-binary friend. Um, and yeah, that's where we are with it.
Should we rank this thing?
I mean, it's only two of them. I mean, sure, why not? Why not? I'll give it a solid 7.5.
Wow.
I'm gonna do it 7.5.
You like this film.
I enjoyed it a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
7.5 is good rank. 7.5 is good rank. I think I would have to give it a 6. Like a good 6 though.
Okay.
It's a good 6. Solid 6. Solid 6 is a good experience.
All right. Okay.
Uh, so our
Yeah.
average.
Listen, Connie, if you're coming here to hear us talk about a movie, you're going to get some spoilers. But also, I always like it. Even if people tell me how a movie goes, I always like to go experience the movie because you can talk about everything that happens, but to go and experience the thing is a totally different experience. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and we were pretty vague. If honestly, this is one of our weaker reviews, so you probably didn't miss much, but we might have ruined some of the worm stuff for you. So collectively, we've given it a 6.75. So we
okay,
could a 7 collectively, a 7.
sounds good.
All right, so I think it's time for some recommendations.
Recommendations.
All right, and feel free to jump in on this. I'm gonna spitball here a little bit. Some recommendations if you like sci-fi space opera content. Here are a few recommendations you might enjoy. Rich already mentioned one during the show. Fifth Element.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
like sci-fi space opera stuff and you managed to miss the Fifth Element along the way, go pick that one up. It's definitely worth the watch. I might even say something like Equilibrium is kind of good.
Mm, okay.
Um, what's cool about Equilibrium is we're definitely set in the future. There's definitely war going on, but this Equilibrium came out around the time of Matrix, and what they
Yeah.
did really interesting in their combat is they introduced this idea of the gun kata. So
God,
it's
yes.
like gun fu, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty fun, innovative. Um, I'd say go back and watch the original Blade Runner. You could watch the one that came out, but if you miss Blade Runner, go back and watch the original one. It's a good kind of cool space opera. Obviously, any of the original um, Star Wars, and I would say this content is way more in line with Star Wars than say Star Trek. Star Trek is totally different content, even though they're both set in space and the futuristic. Dune is way more Star Wars. So if you're looking for this and somehow you manage to miss Star Wars, which I find hard to believe, go check out Star Wars. It's especially the first three, they're easier to follow. That's for
Mhm.
sure. The storylines are pretty simplistic. And that's the funny thing about Dune. I get this feeling that this movie could be a little simpler and you might get a little more mileage out of it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a space opera. Mm, you could try. No, it's not really space opera. It's sci-fi. Tron. Tron is a good watch.
Tron, which they're remaking Tron again for the
What?
third time. They're remaking Tron again. They've even dropped some images of it. The suits were red, not blue this time.
Okay.
Did you like that last Tron movie?
It's been a while since I saw the first one. The last one was. I mean, there were certain things that I liked about it, and it wasn't had nothing to do with the movie. I liked Homeboy's apartment or his studio, which was like a warehouse, had a garage door. I don't know. It's weird, and I liked his bike. That was pretty much
Of
about
course,
it.
the Tron bike. Of course.
Yeah. Well, the Tron bike, and I like the bike that he had in the real world as well.
I see. I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So we're getting a new Tron movie. What
Why?
else? What's another good kind of future space movie?
Future space will be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is pretty dope. Oh no, The Last Starfighter that came out in
Sure.
1984.
Last Starfighter. That's interesting. Last Starfighter is maybe a little more Star Wars influence too.
Still pretty
Uh,
much. I enjoyed it.
you know what you might want to check out is if you like this kind of content, you might like the Firefly series.
Firefly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's again futuristic. It's space. What's cool about it is a little steampunk
Hmm.
influence. It's really kind of a fun series, and also a pretty good comic book. My sister gave me uh, the Firefly comic book. It might be called Serenity, whichever one it is.
Yeah,
Serenity was the
Serenity
movie
was the movie, right?
that had come out, so there's a comic book line of it, and it's also pretty good. And any more recommendations? Those are recommendations.
Also, you want a little bit of comedy with your space. Hitchhiker's
Oh,
Guide to the Galaxy.
yeah.
I mean, just a little, a little bit of
Yeah.
comedy. It's
You could also
pretty.
do Spaceballs. I mean, if you like
I mean,
space
Spaceballs
comedy,
too. Yeah.
I mean, Spaceballs is a good one. I might actually go back and watch that this week. That movie's good.
Yeah, that's a movie that you can like Hitchhiker's Guide, Spaceballs, stuff like that. You can watch it whenever and always have a good time every time.
Yeah, that's pretty true. All right. Well, I guess that's our show. That's our take on Dune. If you managed to stick it out this long, we kind of rambled, but thanks for joining us. Catch us back. We're hoping to get the whole gang back together next week. Fingers crossed, life lets us do that. And if I'm being honest, again, I don't think we have anything lined up for next week. So if you have suggestions or something you'd like to see us talk about, or something you're excited about, give us some suggestions. Because after a couple of years of doing this show, man, finding content sometimes just a task in itself. So if you got any suggestions, recommendations, let us know, and we'll definitely stay open to it. Let us know what you want to talk about, because we want to talk about it. Probably we want to talk about it, but if we don't want to talk about it, we just won't talk about it. No hard feelings.
Yes. So, like, comment,
Anyway,
subscribe, and we'll be back. Same bad time.
it's weird for me to say this. It's like
Is
such
it?
a Lawrence comment. Like I kind of always kind of hold off
Well,
of this.
it's a Lawrence and Chris thing
That's right.
because they definitely just played off each other with that. Because they're the Batman guys. They're the Batman
They're
guys.
the Batman guys. And you know what's funny about Lawrence being the Batman guy? He's actually a Superman guy, but for a Superman
Right.
guy, he really likes Batman stuff.
Yes. Very true.
But you're right. We will be back. Same bat time.
Same bad channel. All right.
Peace.